Okay, guys, alternate ending. Take 43.
With so many movies on the net and TV, it's kinda hard being up and film savvy. Do you catch a show while you're on the go? And how do you know what to keep or what to throw? How do you know what to keep or what to throw? Tune in to alternate ending. Tune in to alternate ending. Tune in to alternate ending. Tune in to alternate ending now. Please give a warm welcome to the hosts of Alternate Ending.
Welcome to Alternate Ending, where we're discovering good movies one bad movie at a time. I'm your host, Carrie Jarsinski, and today I'm joined by one of the looniest tunes I know. Film critic Tim Brighton.
I strive to be.
You strive, I know. Here today, thanks to our ever so sweet Patreon supporter, Helvather, to share our top 5 Looney Tunes. What does that mean? Is it characters? Is it episodes? Is it people in our lives that make us feel Looney Tunes? I don't know. We'll find out. You're here, and I bet you're so excited, Tim, for this episode.
I will go into it when we actually start talking about our lists. But yes, I am.
But yeah,
I'm very excited for this topic, Carrie.
This was one of the more laborious prep episodes that I've ever had in our entire filming of this show. This isn't filming, recording of this show. I will get there as well, but this took me hours.
The concern I have hearing that is that it implies to me you did not grow up on a steady diet of Looney Tunes.
I did. That's the thing. The thing. But we'll get there. I'll go into it a little bit more. But yes, as the animation scholar that you are, I am very excited to see if either of us have overlap. There are so many Looney Tunes out there.
There are 1,000 Looney Tunes cartoons.
Wow. And I've seen them all as of today in prep for this episode. So with that said, I would love nothing more than to tell you about the wildness of my last week, everything that went on, the ups, the downs, whatever. But all that has to get put to the wayside because as I was prepping for this episode, I realized that there was nothing more that I wanted than to know which Looney Tunes character you are.
Oh, that's simple.
Oh, wait, you think you know? Oh, don't tell me, because I think I know who you are, but I'm going to give you a 10-question quiz.
Okay.
And I need to know if I'm right, because I'm like pretty sure that I know. But, and you think you know.
I will preface this quiz by saying I am a neurotic person who is far too self-aware, and I constantly fail to live up to my own expectations for my skill set.
Okay.
Which Looney Tune character do you think I might be?
Oh, see what? You know what? I pegged you as someone different. I think my view, I perceive you differently than you perceive yourself. I think that's the problem.
I hope that you have a good one picked out for me. I hope you don't think I'm like fucking Sylvester or some bullshit like that.
No, that asshole. No, just kidding. Actually, I realize there's some listeners here that I didn't realize listen, so I'm going to try and keep myself in check. No swearing. But anyway, I digress.
Well, I hope those little fucks enjoy the show.
They will indeed. Okay, I'm going to give you 10 questions. I also want you to know how much this mattered to me because I took like 50 quizzes to try and find the best one.
To find the best quiz?
To find the best quiz. They're not great. Like some of them were like, what fruit do you like? And I'm like, no, I want like personality traits. Like I really want to know. Or the ones really annoyed me when it was like, what do you like most? Do you like birds? Do you like explosives? I'm like, no.
Do you like traveling to Mars to shrink it with a shrink ray? It's like, fuck you. That's not a quiz.
It's not a quiz. So I really had to dig here. And then on top of it, had to keep it at 10 questions because I just didn't want to like completely drain people's ears. So one of them,
you didn't want the first 40 minutes of the show to be you asking me questions off of an internet quiz.
This is exactly right. And I did make it to question 20 on one, like 30 question one that I loved, and it froze, and I was like, forget you. So anyway, I landed on this good one, but I do think it is truly personality, and I'm excited to see. So
all right,
here we go. Question number 1, pick a shitty personality trait. Okay. Constantly confused, big ego, cruel honesty, on the edge of a breakdown, the grind don't stop, painstakingly caring. What is the shittiest of those?
For me personally, or in general, which
For
do
you.
I think would be
This
the
is you.
shittiest one?
This is for you personally.
I mean, at the moment, I am constantly on the verge of a breakdown.
But no, a shitty personality in another person.
Oh, and another person.
Yes.
Can you go through them again? I'm sorry.
Yes, constantly confused, big ego, cruel honesty, on the edge of a breakdown, the grind don't stop, painstakingly caring.
I find rise and grind type people intensely annoying to be around, so I'm going to go with the grind don't stop.
Okay. What are you doing with that $1,400 stymie? Is it going right into the safe? Is it going towards self-care, iced coffee and cute outfits, down the drain, a job you've been meaning to do for a while, actual necessities, duh, or I don't need it?
1,400 is
Yeah.
probably going down the drain.
Down
it's
the
not
drain.
that much.
Okay. What does that even mean? Who would put it down the drain? Wouldn't you put it towards some necessities?
In my case, if I had 1,400, since it's not enough to live on, I would probably just upgrade my AV shit in my home.
Okay. All right. Well, our questions and responses are very different. So I would like you, and I'm just quoting this. I would never say this in real life. Again, listeners, I would like you to pick a fine ass grown man. Okay. Can't believe I just said that. I'm going to edit this in the later. Number 1, Adam Driver. Number 2, Matthew Gray Gubler. Number 3, Callum Hood. 4, Tom Hiddleston. 5, Sebastian Stan. Or 6, Robert Pattinson.
This quiz was written by someone whose taste in men does not overlap with my own.
I only had one. I only had one that I thought was fine out of this. So there's a clear answer here.
Pattinson.
Wow, really? He got weird.
Who is yours?
Oh, Tom Hiddleston. I think
he's so frail.
He's frail. I mean, yeah. He's not great. Is that great?
Well, it looks like he'd break his fingers if he picked up a pencil too hard.
He's like a butter body, or wait, what is it called? A better body, where it's like just for like the neck up,
Butter
body. Yeah. All right. Well, that's right. I'm not gonna judge your picks, but we are gonna get a different character. I'd like to know the woman of your dreams on the flip side of this.
Okay.
I actually only know 2 of these people, so you're closer to this than I am. Is it Emma Watson, Zoe Kravitz, Doja Cat, Callie Uchis, Kristen Stewart, or Georgia Smith?
Given my lifelong habit of falling head over heel in love with lesbians, it has to be Kristen Stewart.
Kristen Stewart. Okay. Yeah, you do have that habit.
I have that habit.
It's a good one. You know what? I went with Zoe Kravitz, 100% based on appearance. Like I was just like, oh, she's actually quite stunning. All right. Here, this one I'm interested in what you're going to say. 3 people, 1 pizza slice. What do? Eat it. Taunt everyone at the table and see who will break. Nah, I'm full. Ask for more pizza. Ask who wants it. No one? I'll eat it. Or have everyone eat a nibble.
Ask who wants it. No one. I'll eat it.
Yeah, I would have chosen that for you. I lie. I'm like, I'm full. Even though I'm not. I want that pizza so bad, but I'll tell people.
And
I'm
also,
full.
I ask who wants it in a sense that makes it very clear that the answer had best be nobody. But
Yes.
I'm from the Midwest, so I start that way.
It's so true. It's so true. All right, pick your channel and TV show. HGTV, CW with the Supernatural, Adult Swim, King of the Hill, Fox, The Masked Singer, or something like that. History Channel, Ancient Aliens, or A&E, Hoarders.
It's tough. If it had been a lot of Adult Swim options that weren't King of the Hill, it would have been obviously HGTV.
Okay.
So I'm going to go with HGTV.
That was mine too. I love it. I could watch it all day. All right. Pick an anger management mechanism. Okay. So this is like how you react when you're super mad, super angry. Okay. Eye twitching and cleaning your room, body spasms and hitting every inanimate object, expressionless face and cruel comments, straight up yelling and grumbling, pent up rage and passive aggressive comments, or cry and then retaliate.
It slightly depends on who the person I'm angry at is.
Somebody that you feel comfortable being angry in front of.
It's either the stone-faced and cruel or stone-faced and passive-aggressive.
Okay.
Those are the only 2 ones in play. I think I am generally...
You're generally passive aggressive.
If I'm I'm generally passive aggressive,
Yeah.
but when I'm angry, I say barbed things. So I'm
Okay.
going to go with cruel.
Okay, cruel. Yes, I do. I'm eye twitching and cleaning your room, by the way. I'm just like, that's just my reaction to everything is to organize now when I'm mad or stressed. All right. This one made me laugh too. How are your driving skills? Pretty much an expert. You're an excellent driver, or pretty much an expert. You've hit a curb or two, ignore traffic signals, step on the gas, like basically all over the place. I'm an excellent driver, 100 on the test, and criticize everyone else's driving skills. I follow traffic laws and obey the rules on the road most of the time. Fast and Furious couldn't handle me. Driving is therapeutic for me. Or do I like it? No. Is it a necessity? Yes.
Well, self-evidently the last of them. Like, that's not even a question. I will point out, in the last week, I had an opportunity to spend some time with my parents, which is how I had a good opportunity to think about how do I respond to people when I'm angry at them. But I went driving
Oh, boy.
on the open road for 8 minutes.
You're kidding me.
No, I am not.
Which open road? Was there any other cars? Were you in a parking lot?
I was in a the parking lot's not the open road.
Well, I know,
That's
but
my
I thought
point.
you were lying. I thought you were like, it really was a parking lot.
No, I was in a subdivision.
Okay. Well,
There were
there's some
cars
traffic.
on the street.
I bet there were
parked.
kids in that neighborhood too that you could have hit.
No, there were a couple dogs though.
Oh, okay. That's worse. That's much worse.
It is.
And you
it
dodged
is.
them all.
I did not hit a single pedestrian. I did not run into a single car.
Gosh, are you feeling good about it now?
No, I felt
No.
so bad. I thought I was going to puke as soon as I turned off the ignition.
Wait, who took you?
My father.
Oh, gosh. Okay. Well, I'm glad you're started on your 500 hours. I know you don't need them, but I think you should have them, even if it's not.
I think 500 is a low estimate for what I need.
Agreed. Okay. All right. 2 more questions, and then we will know your true fate. Pick an actual sitcom, the one that jumps out to you the most. Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Parks and Rec, The Office, Arrested Development, The Good Place, or That 70s Show.
Arrested Development.
I do like Arrested Development, although I had The Office as my answer. Okay. All right. Last question. It seems like you need therapy. Pick a mental evaluation. The Rorschach test, aka Inkblot test, being given a mood journal, an IQ test, lay down and talk about your trauma, hypnosis, or that won't be necessary. I know exactly what's wrong with me.
That won't be necessary. I know exactly what's wrong with me.
I think you got to lay down and talk to somebody sometime.
Oh,
but
I am currently laying down and talking to somebody about the things that I already know are exactly wrong with
I
me.
see. Okay, this is it. It's really not what I thought. It's not what I thought at all. I don't know who this is. Okay.
Who is it?
Who do you think you are?
I'm Daffy Duck.
Oh, that is a worst case scenario. You're kidding me.
No.
Daffy Duck is my least favorite Looney Tune.
I identify so hard with Daffy Duck. I feel like this episode is over now.
He's like the worst. I've got my list of top 5, bottom 5 Looney Tunes. He's my bottom 5. He's the one that's like, isn't he the one that's like,
No, that's Woody Woodpecker.
Oh yeah, that's true.
He's not even a Looney Tune.
Oh, that's fair. But who's the one that's like, suffered and succotash, and he's always like spitting all over the place?
Well, the Suffer and Succotash is Sylvester the Cat.
Well, yeah.
You're Despicable is
You're
Daffy Duck.
Despicable. Oh yeah, I don't like that either. Why does everyone has a list? We'll get there later. In fact, this is actually, it says based on your responses that you were Tina. Tina Duck. Is that Daffy's girlfriend?
That is from some post-classical Looney Tune neo-canon with which I have no familiarity and which I do not acknowledge the authority of.
Oh my gosh. It says you're the favorite kind of person. You're a bee, but the best kind. You have a passive aggressive attitude and you have a pretty good resting bee face. You're probably going to psychoanalyze people and befriend a lot of shy, strange people. You're full of rage. And have a special brutal honesty, but you're super stylish.
She looks like a duck version of Jennifer Aniston.
She really does. She's the most attractive Looney Tune I've seen, which maybe that fits. I don't know so much about this quiz, which is making me feel better because I'll tell you, I ended up with the second worst scenario of the little mouse, the little Ariba guy.
Oh, Speedy Gonzalez.
I got Speedy Gonzalez. I'm like, what kind of cruel thing is this? So I don't think you're Tina. I thought you were Bugs Bunny.
You strike me as a Porky Pig.
Oh gosh, I don't like Porky Pig either.
Do you like any of the Looney Tunes?
I like 5 of them. They're on my list, and I guess we'll get there. So I'm excited to talk to you about them. But no, I did think you were Bugs Bunny. In fact, I thought.
No, thank you, but no.
Oh, he's just like he's clever,
I'm not nearly
kind of
that
smug,
confident or cool.
kind of passive aggressive, but cool at the same time. I still think you're Bugs Bunny, but thanks for entertaining me. I just needed that to like center myself from the week and the day. So thank you for doing that. Rob would never have put up with that, so I appreciate it.
Well, Rob can come back to the show anytime he feels like we're filling dead air with you yammering about internet shit to me.
Agreed.
That is a choice he makes every week.
Exactly. And so now he can edit that and listen to the whole 10-minute quiz. Nevertheless, I am more and more excited and growing in excitement to learn about your top 5 Looney Tunes based on what sounds like some, I would say, not overlap that we're going to have in our favorites. But I'll leave it to you, Tim. What is sort of your criteria for this episode? Because there were a few ways to take it.
So the backstory first. The Looney Tunes is the word we use, but we're actually describing 2 different series, the Looney Tunes and the Merry Melodies. That distinction stops mattering after 1944, but it's actually quite significant in the 30s. I would regard the collective series, the thing we call the Looney Tunes.
The whole thing. It includes Merry Melodies, all that stuff.
Including Merry Melodies.
Yeah.
It's my favorite thing.
In the world.
It's my favorite thing that has ever been made by people.
By humans.
So, Havartha, thank you for picking the best topic I could be given ever. So I have watched these cartoons religiously for my whole life. I am currently, as of the 1st of January, 2023, I am watching 1 Looney Tune cartoon per day in order until I've gone through all 1,000 of them.
Oh, wow.
Which will take me until the fall of 2025.
Yeah. I love when you sign up for these like really laborious challenges to yourself.
It is not a challenge. It is a privilege that I have given to myself.
Okay.
Life was getting too hard. So I was like, you know what I'm going to do? I shall watch a Looney Tune
every
per day. And that means that at least 7 minutes out of every day will be good. And that ended up not being the case because there were some ebbs and flows. I had to get through the early 30s cartoons when they had the character of Buddy was the main Looney Tune. Buddy's just horrible. He's awful. You just want to run him over with a lawnmower and watch his blood gush out of his horrible smiling face.
What is Buddy? Is he the little guy with the black eyes? Or is he like, what is he?
You've never seen Buddy.
Okay.
I guarantee you have never seen a cartoon with Buddy because Buddy sucks. They didn't like Buddy. People in the 30s didn't like Buddy. So Buddy has not survived in the pop consciousness. I am, however, now fully into the Porky Pig in the 30s era of the Looney Tunes, and I'm enjoying it very much. So when I said that you're a Porky Pig, I meant that you are a kind soul who makes me feel better when I see your face.
Oh, gosh. I think here's the breakdown. I don't feel that way when I look at
And you
Porky
also
Pig.
have a weird tendency not to wear pants.
I mean, it's Zoom. Do I need to be, honestly? That's the question I asked myself. It's so interesting. I wish I had watched a few more Porky Pigs. Now I'm feeling kind of bad. Porky Pig used to not be my favorite because I've got reasons. And actually the same reason that there's a lot of the characters that rub me the wrong way. But I will share, I feel the same as you, where I watched a lot of Looney Tunes as a kid. I watched the old stuff. I watched the new stuff. I watched like all the way back from like the black and whites all the way up to like the Taz days. And if I had been probably 15 years older while I was into Taz, I probably would have been one of those people that got those regrettable tattoos. I was like really into Taz. I don't know why. I just was really into it. So I love it too. And I was thinking about it as I started prepping for this episode that, like I said, took me a bajillion hours because I think a lot of the Looney Tunes end up running together. It's like, oh, that episode where the Roadrunner dropped the anvil. And it's like, which one was that? And it's like, okay, rabbit hole, like the most rabbit hole. I'm like, well, I guess I better watch all of them to find out which one it was that I was thinking of. And then along the way being like, ooh, I like that one too. Like that was good. So I just like watched like hundreds of them. I just
They're so good and short.
they're so good at shows. Yeah, I was like I couldn't stop. I couldn't stop. So it took me forever. I think the other thing that I'd love to talk about before we jump into is I think what I realize I love about it almost even more than the acting itself or the animation itself is like what I think pulls me in is the music. Like I'm so drawn to that era and that generation in the 30s through 50s of like the music that's playing in there. So when that intro comes in, it's like a little dopamine kick for me.
It so is. It so is.
Yeah, I just feel calm and relaxed or something like that.
In my capacity as guy who's going through every Looney Tune one at a time and putting them on Letterboxd. So those of you who don't follow me on Letterboxd, you can see my thoughts on thus far like 230 Looney Tunes and more to come. I suggested at one point that Carl Stallings is the single most important figure. He is the music director for the Looney Tunes.
Okay.
So I think that the musical identity of the cartoon series is such a crucial thing. I mean, you have the two theme songs, Merry Go Round Broke Down for the Looney Tunes and Merrily We Roll On for the Merry Melodies. And then you have a bunch of the songs that he keeps pulling back in. Like, whenever there's a cartoon where there's a conveyor belt and it goes like dun, 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 dun,
Yeah.
dun, 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 that piece of music, like that's my dopamine hit. Is that like dun, 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 like
Oh, yes.
I'm in my happy place when I hear it.
I just got a little one of it now.
Yeah.
I also
Da, 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 da.
it's ASMR for me. It's ASMR
Exactly.
right now. So
Thank you.
I also
Powerhouse is the name of that song for the record.
I think that might be the same one that they play whenever there's a little train trying to get up a hill too.
Probably.
And I'm like,
Carl
oh,
Stallings loved that song.
I'm like, yeah, you're gonna make it up that hill because this song is playing for you, and it's
Exactly.
just so yeah. So I love all the animation in it too and the stories, but I mean, I think we can all agree a lot of the plot lines and the storylines in these can tend to blur together a little bit.
It's like there's like 40 cartoons where the plot is a coyote wants to eat a roadrunner and keeps smashing himself in the face with rocks rather than eating the roadrunner. That happens so many times.
It does. I don't want to get into too much because it'll get into our lists, but
Yes.
but nevertheless, I definitely have decade trends that I love, and I definitely have characters that I love the most. So how I tackled this, I'd love to know for you. I decided I'm going to rank my character first, like pick my favorite character, and then I'm going to give you my favorite episode
Your favorite cartoon starring that
yes,
character.
the favorite cartoon starring that character, which
I like that. That's a smart way of doing that. I wish I'd thought of that.
yeah, because I don't want to have all of the same person on here.
Can we pause and come back in about 3 hours and continue recording this episode?
I have kids waiting in the car. I've got a job interview in 30 minutes.
Okay.
But nevertheless, I would love to know as you go along. But yeah, I think you should start us off. I think that we might actually have just a tiny bit of overlap. And then again, because I watched like 1,000 of these, I think I thought I would have more overlap with the audience picks, but I think I missed some biggies because I just watched so many and then some of them struck with me. So some of these might feel like deep pulls, but they're just based on recent watches. So
I have two lists, Carrie, and I'm going to let you tell me which of my lists you want to hear.
Okay.
There were depending on when in history we are, as many as 4 different units making Looney Tunes. And these are conventionally referred to by the name of the director of that unit. So we have the Chuck Jones, the Fritz Freeling, the Robert McKimson, the Bob Clampett. So we have a bunch of different directors with very strong stylistic, approaches. And I want to honor the variety of that while also acknowledging that the specific incarnation of the Chuck Jones unit in the 1950s when he was working with the writer Michael Maltese is responsible for like 12 of my 15 favorite short cartoons ever made. So I could just say, I'm just going to give you a whole bunch of Chuck Jones shorts, or I could give you my favorite film from each of the big directors.
The second one. Let's go the second one.
Okay.
Yes, let's do that.
So I'm going to organize my list in reverse chronological order then.
Okay.
Rather than by quality.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
That sounds good. So give us your number 5.
So my number 5 by that list, which happens to actually be the number 1 on my other version of my list. If I was just giving you my favorite cartoons, this is my favorite cartoon.
Okay.
is my number 5 on my list.
I feel so much pressure.
This is my Chuck Jones cartoon. So as I said, Chuck Jones is responsible for most of my favorite cartoons. This is 1953's Duck Amuck, in which Daffy Duck, that put upon horrible idiot, is in a cartoon, and it's going fine. It's like a sort of parody Three Musketeers cartoon, and he jumps so far to the left that he jumps out of the cartoon. And he's like, oh no, I'm not in a cartoon anymore. And so he turns to the screen and asks the animator to fix it. And so the animator starts drawing in a background, but it's not a background for a Three Musketeers-esque adventure anymore. Now it's the background for a farming cartoon. So now Daffy has to change his costume to become a farmer. And this goes on for like 7 minutes, and it becomes clearer and clearer that the animator is really just messing with him to be mean.
Yes.
And so we basically watch Daffy have a complete breakdown of reality while he's just trying to do his job. His job is to go be in a funny cartoon and say funny things. And the animator keeps being like, what if I replaced your parachute with an anvil? What if I replaced your body with a flower?
Yes.
And it's just incredibly weird and wonderful and funny experiment in like, what is a cartoon? How much can we pull out of it before it stops being a cartoon? And the answer is you can pull out a whole lot. And it's my favorite Daffy. It's my favorite Chuck Jones. It's, again, my favorite short film of all time.
Seen it, liked it, couldn't have made my list because Daffy's the worst. So
Daffy's the best. Daffy is us.
In order of annoyance, Daffy is real high. He's real high for me. There
are so many annoying Looney Tunes, Carrie.
There are. And honestly, again,
do you, well, we'll hear your list.
We'll see. It's also in order of like, well, they're all like least annoying to me because I had a little trouble with some of their voices, and that feels maybe uncharitable, but I'm like, why does everybody have a speech impediment? Like,
because that's how you distinguish between them when
all
you
have
wear
the
Mel Blanc and you have to voice 80 characters.
Like everybody has the same voice. I don't know. There's a couple voices that stood out to me. I think that's part of it too that plays into my list, that I like their voice, or they're not talking at all. I think that actually helped for me. So I'm coming in at number 5. This gal, loved her for years. She is cute. She is strong-willed, and she's resilient even when she has to constantly be avoiding the advances of a creep. So I empathize with this character a bunch in my own life. But she's also a case of mistaken identity, because you might think that she's a skunk, but she's not.
It's just, this is what happens when you get run over by a street painting car and it leaves a white stripe on your back. You never know.
You don't know who you are anymore.
What horrible, unstoppable Lotharios are going to think that gives them an open door.
Exactly. But really, you're a pussycat, right? And you are Penelope Pussycat. And I love her. I do like the Pepe Le Pew series. I think Pepe is a bit of a creep, a little bit much.
He's meant to be.
He's meant to be. He's creepy, he's weird, but my favorite one that she's in is called For Scent-imental Reasons.
Yep.
And it's basically Pepe Le Pew goes into a perfume shop. He's smelling all these perfumes like a weirdo. And then the shopkeeper recruits a cat to fight him off, but he ends up falling in love with the cat after she gets that white stripe.
Because he's French. He can't help it. He just falls in love.
I know. And neither of them have annoying voices. And I love the animation where he squeezes her. Like he's always going in for the hug, and she just wants out of this hug
the
so
facial
bad.
expressions when she's trying to get away are so good.
They're so good. And she's squeezing out, her cheeks are puffing up, and she's just trying to get out of his clutches. And everything about the Pepe Le Pew animation I just always loved. So that's
I will confess to finding Pepe Le Pew a one joke character.
Totally.
So I tend, which is very hypocritical of me, because I also find the Coyote a one joke character, and I think those films are a national treasure. But I don't adore the Pepe Le Pews.
I love her though. There's something about her that I like, which is why I didn't choose him. He wouldn't make my list, but I think Penelope's got it going on. So
and I will also say this is also my pick for the best of the Pepe Le Pew / Penelope.
So good.
Cartoons.
So good. All right, hit me with your number 4.
So my number 4 takes us to a film by the most prolific of the Looney Tunes directors, the longest lasting. He was the first one of the big names, which, just for the record, the big names are Chuck Jones, who I've already talked about, Bob Clampett, Frank Tashlin, Tex Avery, Robert McKimson, and Friz Freleng. And Friz Freleng was the first of those men hired. He was the last of those men. No, that's not true. McKimson was with them longer, but he certainly had the longest stretch. He was with the studio from like 1931 basically to 1936. So basically the entire lifespan of the studio. Friz Freleng was one of their animators and directors. I don't always love his stuff necessarily. I think some of it is just kind of uninspired. Let's just crank out gag after gag after gag. But he did a few cartoons that I think are absolutely superb. And my favorite of Freleng's cartoons is a 1946 Bugs Bunny vehicle called Rhapsody Rabbit, which I love for two reasons. One, it is my favorite cartoon to use the Hungarian Rhapsody number 2, which is a piece of classical music that gets used constantly. Probably the best point to like call up where it comes from. If you are familiar with the movie Who Framed Roger Rabbit, the scene where Daffy Duck and Donald Duck are playing piano together at the nightclub.
Yep.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do.
That's Hungarian Rhapsody number 2.
Yeah. Okay.
So it shows up in a bunch of cartoons. In this case, it's Bugs trying to play it for an audience while a mouse is in the keyboard running back and forth and just generally screwing up his performance.
I've seen it. I love it.
What's that?
I said I've seen it. I love it.
Yeah. Good. Yeah, so great cartoon. Has a gag at the start that I think is maybe the funniest gag Freleng ever staged, which is when someone in the audience is like coughing and Bugs shoots him a look and is clearly very pissed off, but the guy keeps coughing. So Bugs just pulls out a gun and shoots the guy and just kind of stares at his corpse for like 3 seconds.
It's dark.
And
it's a little bit dark. Yeah.
Every single time I see that gag, I like have to stop the cartoon because I start laughing so hard that I can't like breathe.
That's not the only time
I'm talking about it and I'm starting to laugh.
I know
it's
you
such
are.
A good
Your
joke.
face is
it's
like
such
getting
a good
contorted.
joke, Carrie.
They do that though in a couple. There's another one where there's like a hunter or there's like a guy that comes in the audience and he's supposed to be like sitting down and it's just his shadow. Have you seen that one?
Yes, I have seen that one. That
and
is
then he like kind
of
of keeps getting up and down, up
Egghead.
and down. Which one is that again?
That's Daffy Duck and Egghead.
Oh, that's right. Oh gosh, and I love that. Like, kind of. I don't
so
even know
good.
what you call that. Is that like breaking the fourth wall?
It's breaking the fourth wall, which happens a lot in these cartoons. But no, general rule of thumb: anytime a character gets murdered with a gun in a Looney Tune, it's funny.
Yeah, there's a lot of violence.
Well, like the trilogy of cartoons, which if I had done just Chuck Jones's, I would have been talking about one. But like the gag of 3 straight cartoons is Bugs tricks Elmer Fudd into shooting Daffy in the face. And that's like it. And we see for like 20 minutes of that. And it's so funny.
If I liked Elmer Fudd, I would.
You don't like any of the good characters. What is wrong with you?
No, I think I don't. I really don't. Because it's, again, I don't think you're not going to like the next guy that I've got on my list. You're going to be like, this guy's
Elmer is my 3rd favorite Looney Tune character after Daffy Duck and the Coyote.
Okay. All right. Interesting. We have
Bugs is all the way down at number 4.
Okay. All right. Yeah, we're not going to have a lot of overlap, so I better get cranking here. All righty. So this one mine has Bugs Bunny in it in this case, but it's not Bugs that has my heart in this one. It is a young redhead, just out there, just trying to live life, trying not to feel so short, trying to feel like he's a big guy, but unfortunately he's trying to do that by procuring a singing sword. Hard to do when you're up against Bugs, but gives it a best go. This is Mr. Yosemite Sam, and this is in Nighty Night Bugs from 1958. Do you love this one?
One of the all-time classic Looney Tunes. I think this was an Oscar winner.
Was it really?
I'm pretty sure.
Oh my gosh. I think actually if I could have chosen, I love the dragon in this. There's like a little...
The dragon is so great in this, but I feel like it would be weird to pick a character who's only in one cartoon.
Exactly. I think I realized that I did like a lot of the like completely unknown characters when I was watching these too. Like those really make it. There's another little guy I'll tell you about in a little bit and another one that I'm just like in love with, but couldn't pick the dragon. But
I mean, if I were just doing one-off characters who I love, Owl Jolson would have been very high on my list.
Which one is that?
He's the little owl who sings in I Love to Singa.
Oh,
you might not have caught up with it.
Maybe I haven't seen that one.
It's pretty old. He's a little owl who sings. That's pretty much the cartoon.
He's not on my list, so I'm going to tell you. My favorite is that little egghead guy. Or like, who's the hen's little kid with the big glasses?
Oh, Oh, Hen's kid with the big glasses. I don't remember his name. I know who you're talking
He's
about.
adorable, and he's so smart, and he's got these giant glasses that take up his whole face. Miss Prissy's son. I thought it was Egghead. I thought his name was Egghead Jr.
It might be. There's also a character named Egghead who is awful, who is a proto. Well,
Not
you
this
saw
guy.
Egghead and Daffy, or Daffy and Egghead. He's basically fake Elmer Fudd, and this is not who you're
No,
talking
different Egghead. There's of course many Eggheads in the Looney Tunes series.
about. You know, it's a name that lends itself, I think, to
does.
being in a Looney Tune.
It does. Well, you know about it, but I'll just mention it's sort of, again, they're going after this treasured singing sword, and we think that maybe Yosemite will get it, but Bugs ends up, of course, winning out in the end with the help of a silly dragon who has a sneezing problem. And it's just cute and fun, and I love those kind of those stories. So that was Nighty Night Bugs. I'm going to throw it to you for your number 3.
Oh, my number 3 is tough. So I can tell you this about my number 3.
Uh-huh.
It is my Bob Clampett pick. Clampett, who is he's a director that I don't think has the name recognition of Chuck Jones, but I love him almost as much as I love Chuck Jones. He just makes these really fast-paced, very sort of aggressively weird movies. Like in a Chuck Jones cartoon, strange stuff is going to happen. Daffy's face is going to get shot and his beak is going to spin around, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's absurd, but like in a Chuck Jones film, there's like a reality that's being violated. In a Bob Clampett film, there's kind of never a reality in the first place. It's just kind of like, let's go wacky. So I really love Bob Clampett. So my favorite Bob Clampett film is from 1946. It is from earlier in 1946 than Rhapsody Rabbit, which is why it's my number 3, not my number 4. The problem is I haven't decided which of 2 Bob Clampett films is my favorite Bob Clampett film. So I am going to say something that I might want to uncommit to later on.
Okay.
We'll see how it
I won't
goes.
hold you to it.
I'm gonna say that my favorite Bob Clampett cartoon is the Great Piggy Bank Robbery.
Is this a
Is
black
this one
and
you've
white
seen?
still?
No, this isn't color.
Okay. Is this where the big dog with the cigar is in it?
No.
No. Okay.
This is the one where Daffy is in a parody of the Dick Tracy comic strip.
Oh, okay.
He's Duck Twicey.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
And so Daffy is reading his comics and he's getting a little bit too invested in Dick Tracy's attempts to stop various strangely caricatured criminals, and he takes a bump on the head.
Uh-huh.
And what happens when you take a bump on the head in a cartoon? Well, one of 2 things.
Big lump.
Either you go insane and have amnesia and think you're like Napoleon, or you have a dream sequence. So Daffy has a dream sequence. And in that dream sequence, he is the great detective Duck Twicey. And there's been a rash of piggy bank robberies, and he has to figure out who's robbing the piggy banks. And so he goes out and does so, and it's basically just the second half of this cartoon is basically just an excuse for Bob Clampett to be like, here is this featureless void that makes no sense, into which I will put just a whole bunch of really strange looking drawings of like villains who have faces like hammers and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Completely weird, surreal nonsense. If you don't like Daffy, this is not a cartoon for you, because the glue that holds it together is Daffy just being sort of like wild and zany. And this is the earlier version of Daffy before Chuck Jones sort of turned him into this like belligerent neurotic.
Mm-hmm.
Bob Clampett and Tex Avery both made Daffy this sort of very uncontrollable figure of chaos who ran around squawking and laughing a lot. And this is that Daffy. I love that Daffy. A lot of people don't. So it sounds like you would not like this cartoon.
I don't like
I
the
love it because
chaotic
it's just so
Daffy.
beautifully surreal.
Yeah, I like the more chill Daffy probably. In general, I think I like when the characters are a little bit more chill. Like when they start to get a little rambunctious. Like there was one that I watched with Bugs. Again, I'm not a massive Bugs fan either, just because I think he thinks he's better than everybody else. That's not.
Well, he is better than everybody else, but
Right.
it's very annoying that
But
he
it's
knows
annoying.
that.
Yes, exactly. I don't think that about you. But there was one where like Bugs like goes nuts. Like he like loses it and he opens his mouth and they have his teeth all like gapped apart. And like you don't see that. Like he's smiling, he's going crazy. And I don't know, there was just this like wildness in his eyes, the way they drew him. And I don't want that. Like I just want like chill, like more like serene tunes, I think, or something. I don't
So
know.
you don't want Looney Tunes.
I guess I don't want Looney Tunes.
You want sane tunes.
I think I want tunes. I also think that a lot of the ones that I liked, I don't know if there's a tonal shift in the Merry Melody ones, but I actually think a lot of mine opened as Merry Melodies, I think.
It doesn't matter. After 1944, there is no meaningful distinction between the two series.
Well, I don't know.
Prior to that, the Merry Melodies tended not to have recurring characters, and they tended to be more musically driven and less gag driven.
Okay, maybe that's what it is. All right. Well, that is a good one. I'm gonna want to check. I don't think I saw that in my recap, so I might go watch that.
And for the record, my other pick for a Clampett short was the book review cartoon where Daffy Duck is Danny Kaye, and books come to life.
Oh yes, I have seen that one. I have seen that. That was good. Okay. I'm going to jump to, that was your number 3. I'm going to jump.
That was my number 3. Give us your number 3.
I'm going to give you my number 3. My number 3, you're going to think I'm weird. You're going to judge me, and you're going to think I'm weird, but I had a crush on this Looney Tune. I don't know why. I don't have any explanation for it. I
thought you said you didn't like Elmer Fudd.
No. Yeah, he's not my type for sure. But this guy is, and it's going to be even weirder because he sounds exactly like my grandpa. That's not why I have a crush on him, but
I'm concerned that any member of your family sounds like any Looney Tune.
He really does. I'll have to get like an old video or something like that, but it sounds exactly like his voice. But I always, when I was a kid, thought that this Looney Tune was kind of a babe, and I'm not even joking. So you're going to be like, what? But I mean it. So some of my most absolute favorite episodes are with Foghorn Leghorn.
I'm not going to kink shame.
No.
I think it's really too bad that you have that big of a crush on a flaming homosexual, but that's up to you.
Foghorn Leghorn is?
He is gay as all shit.
No, he's not. He likes Miss Prissy. He likes the old goose, that old lady with the bonnet.
Yeah. So the hot young rooster who wants to spend all of his time with a weird old lady. This doesn't sound gay at all. I don't know what I was thinking.
Well, you know what? I never thought about it till just now. Are you the only person that knows this, or does that?
I am absolutely not. It is an article of faith in the gay Looney Tune fandom that Foghorn Leghorn is so fucking gay.
Oh, wow. This is just mind-blowing to me. I mean, it's still fine with me. I mean, this wouldn't be the first time that I was drawn to a
friend of mine was trying to pitch the Daniel Craig murder mystery from last fall, Glass Onion, because I don't love those movies. And she was like, but don't you love that he's basically playing if Foghorn Leghorn was gay? And I just kind of gave her a look. And she was like, yeah, you're right.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I think I liked his big deep voice. I liked his like calm. Like he's not always calm. He can get a little bit owly a little bit, but he, for the most part,
he does not perceive danger.
Yes, this is true. He gets a little bit sassy, but I like how he tries to keep it under wraps. So it's like the scenes where he's out there with, again, this is Egghead Jr. He's like out trying to teach him to play baseball and like helps him with his chemistry set and like blows himself naked, like blows off all of his feathers, which I took a little peek at, if I must say. But he is like adorable as he's like trying to help out Egghead Jr. And again, just their relationship was so cute. There's just a suave about him that I was like, gosh, this is kind of a babe. But it makes sense that he's gay.
I know,
it makes
you like
sense
the big cocks.
Now that you're saying it. Wow, it was there for you. It was there for the taking.
I'm pleased that it took me this long to walk up to it.
Frankly. I knew you were smirking for the last like 45 seconds because you were working up towards something. I was
waiting for the pause where it would fit.
Yes, and that was it.
Yes, it was.
But I guess I do, because I don't care. I still have a crush on him. I watched so many, like, to prep for this. I was like, well, I guess I'm going to watch every single Foghorn Leghorn cartoon since ever. And he was still cute. So
what is actually your favorite Foghorn Leghorn, though? You haven't given us the title yet.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was going to say 1954's Little Boy Boo. And that is the one where he goes out and he's trying to teach him baseball. And then her little kid is so smart. He's this little nerd with these big glasses. He's so cute. And so he like figures out all the physics of like how to play baseball. He doesn't know. And then he's like, all right, little guy, I'm going to throw you a ball now. And then he like does that, throws the ball, and he just like smacks it, and it like goes through a bunch of trees, and he's like really good. And he's like, well, I guess you know what you're doing. So, and it's just like, cute. I love a guy that's good.
I
with
know
kids.
I've seen this one because I remember the math gag you just described. It has been probably 32 years
Rewatch it.
since I've seen this
Rewatch it.
cartoon.
That's Little Boy Boo. When you get there, think of me
I
and
will.
my romance with Foghorn. Oh gosh, I could be Mrs.
No,
Leghorn.
Foghorn Foghorn Leghorn is great. He is, I think, definitely Robert McKimson's most like lasting and important contribution to the Looney Tunes series.
Agree. Couldn't agree more. All right, Tim. I think on that last note, we're going to head to a break. But before we head to our break, you might be wondering about ways to support the show. You can join our Patreon and get early access to exclusive content, make us watch a movie, pick your own episode topic, and more from our Patreon site. You also can be a Patreon and celebrate your anniversary with us, just like Cocker Spaniel, 1999, Cameron Shaw, Travis Neely, Brian Fowler, Cher Evans, and Aaron Wannerlin. Thank you guys all so much for your support. Also, wanted to thank our listeners who support our show and make their Amazon purchases through our site. Doing it is easy. Just go to Amazon.com, click through. Actually, don't go there. Go to alternateending.com and then click through
And
to Amazon.
via alternateending.com, go to amazon.com.
You should do it that way. And then you can go about your purchases. All proceeds go to making our show better. So thank you to those out there who got a door and window alarm. I feel like security is important. I would have given you mine because I don't like it, because it beeps at me
So
all
you
the
don't
time.
think security is that important?
Not enough to actually have something beep at me. I don't like things that beep in general. Also,
So I guess we know which character will not be in your top two.
or I also don't like things that beep. That'll be a question that we get to later as well. Also,
I have thoughts.
I have thoughts. I have thoughts too. Nevertheless, the person out there that got that Soda Stream, Diet Dr. Pete. I am a huge Diet Dr. Pete fan as well.
Dr. Pete walked right up to the line of copyright infringement and waved at it and then stopped there.
Threw it that finger. Also, appreciate who got Humpty Dumpty in Oakland. It seems like there might be a wall that he could fall off there. Somebody's out there getting paper towels. Again, don't love them, but Rob loves them, so he would appreciate this purchase.
Maybe it's Rob.
That's true. Maybe it is Rob. Probably is. He goes through them like crazy. It just drives me nuts. I'm like, use a towel. Anyway, also really excited for the person out there getting their D3 vitamins for your bones, teeth, and muscles and immune system support. That could not be more important. And I'm also extremely excited for the person who got out there and checked out Amalia. I've heard it's good. Do you agree?
I don't even know what it is.
Oh, I thought it was. Oh, I'm thinking of Amelie.
You're thinking of Amelie, yes.
This might be Amelie. I might just be reading.
Does it end with an E or an A?
It's an A. It's
Then
a
it's not
typo.
Amelie.
It's a
Amelie ends with an
typo.
A.
It's a
An
new
E.
name. Actually, you know what? It's Amelia. It's Amelia.
Oh! It would be, wouldn't it?
It is. Now that I'm
Okay.
looking at that, that's probably a movie then. So we hope you enjoy it.
Oh, it's the biopic of Amelia Earhart starring Hilary Swank. That's what it is.
Yes. I think that's
I like yours better, Carrie.
I do too. Amelia. Well, thank you all again for your purchases. When we get back, our number 1 and 2 picks for our top 5 Looney Tunes. And welcome back. Here we go with our number 1 and number 2 Looney Tunes. And I think that goes to you first, Tim. Again, I'm excited to get to a couple of these because these are my biggies. These are ones that I really, really like. And I think that there's a possibility that we have one overlap, I would say.
I doubt it, but we'll see.
Okay.
Because remember, I'm going in reverse chronological order through my list.
Okay. That gets
I left us at
tricky.
1946.
Okay. All right. Well, we might
Now
have
we're
the
gonna
same
make-
character overlap. We might have a character overlap is what I'm thinking.
I think we might. So I'm now taking us into the 30s. I'm taking us into the black and white cartoons to build off of something I was saying before. So the Looney Tunes were the gag-driven comedies built around recurring characters. First, Bosco, who is awful. Then Buddy, who is just an absolute reprobate. You would want to murder him with your own hands if you ever met him. And then third came Porky Pig. And Porky's good. We love Porky Pig. Also, the Looney Tunes were in black and white up until 1943. The Merry Melodies had pivoted over to color much earlier than that. I think they were in color by 35. Now I can't recall. But so we're in the black and white Porky Pig era. And here in the black and white Porky Pig era, we find the director Frank Tashlin, who is maybe the weirdest of the Looney Tunes directors in that he actually... So his career path, he started as an animator for a company called Van Buren. He moved to Warner Brothers to become an animator, but he really, really disliked the head of the studio, Leon Schlesinger, who ran the animation studio there. So he left. And he actually got a job in live action filmmaking. And then he came back to Leon Schlesinger Productions to start directing cartoons after he had spent some time doing gag writing in live action. So Tashlin is sort of known for being the guy who brought live action filmmaking techniques to these cartoons. And then he kind of pivots back later on. He quits Warner Brothers and then comes back to Warner Brothers after he was in Columbia running their cartoon division for a time. And then after the third and final time that he quit working for Warner Brothers, he actually went into live action cinema and became a director of live action feature comedies. So really, really big, varied career. But the thing that we talk about when we talk about Tashlin is basically the way that he brings in live action filmmaking techniques. And I will admit the Tashlin leg of my project here is the one that I feel the most uncertain of, because I feel like I have not seen every Tashlin film that might be his best, every Tashlin cartoon. But of the ones I have seen, I think I'm willing to say that my favorite pick, certainly the one that shows off what he's doing by sort of trying to marry animated cartoons with live action film, is 1937's The Case of the Stuttering Pig. And the stuttering pig is Porky because he stutters.
Why? Why do we have to make him stutter? Like it's
because it's funny.
I know, but doesn't it get old?
People with disabilities are funny, Carrie. This is the rule of 1930s comedy.
I know. That's the whole thing. I feel like we're laughing at the expense of everyone who has a speech impediment and a stutter.
That's accurate. Yes.
Yeah, I know. And I'm like, could we?
Some of them are bad people, though, Carrie.
Yeah, like
Daffy Duck's bad, so it's funny that we make fun of his limitations.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm mixed on that. It's like we can say an R, and nobody can say an R around here. Like, where are we? So anyway, Carrie.
I think Elmer is a figure of pity. Daffy is a figure of ridicule.
Yes.
And I know that we also ridicule everybody, but I think Elmer is more pitiable than Daffy is. Anyway, Case of the Stuttering Pig is a parody of a murder mystery where the pig family has gathered for the reading of a will. Porky's one of them. And then the lawyer takes a Jekyll and Hyde potion to make himself this huge hulking monster so that he can basically remove the pigs one at a time, so he becomes the inheritor of this estate. So it's basically this little 7.5 minute long, gothic horror that is also a wacky cartoon about animated pigs. And it's incredible how well he makes it work. Because it's kind of genuinely creepy. The Dr. Hyde-esque lawyer character is kind of scary.
Yeah.
And he leers right into the camera. And you talked about fourth wall breaking, he makes fun of a character. He makes fun of the guy sitting in the fourth row. And the guy in the fourth row sasses him back. And this is an ongoing thing in this cartoon, or maybe it's the second row, I don't remember. But so it's kind of weird and creepy, and he's interacting with us in the audience, which makes it feel weirder and creepier, but it's also funny. Because it's talking pigs and one of them stutters.
What's the name of this one again?
What was that?
What's the name of this one again?
The Case of the Stuttering Pig.
Case of the Stuttering Pig. Okay. I feel like I've seen this, but also 30 years ago, because I feel like I remember being totally freaked out as a kid by this Jekyll or Hyde character that you're talking about in a cartoon. But it's so
fair, there are so many Mr. Hyde characters in the Looney Tunes.
Maybe it's not that one. But I for sure know that I've been creeped out by it. When you're saying it's a little scary, I remember being a kid and being kind of ooh, this is, what am I watching?
It's a little scary.
It's a little scary. I kind of want to check that one out now.
I'm a big fan. This was one of my discoveries through this process. I had not seen this one prior to this year, and I just instantaneously was like, oh, well, this is a masterpiece.
This is so good. Yeah. I got a 3-hour drive after this, and I'm just going to start watching all of these. Like the kids
I
can
love
just
it.
do whatever in the back, but I got to finish these out. So I'll check that one out.
You don't want to share the Looney Tunes with the kids. They're not for children.
Yeah, no. Yeah, it's although some of it I am like, ooh, like people like, yeah, like you said, they're just blowing people's beaks off all the time. I'm like, this is a little dark.
Also, some of them are super racist.
Very racist. And there's a lot of suicide. And then the next one that I'm going to talk about also probably not great either. Like if I mean, it's not the worst, but it's not great. Like I don't think you'd see it today for sure, because it's all about addiction in my next one. So, but again, in a cartoon. But anyway, it was still funny, so I'm going to share it with you. My number 2 brings you to, in the first quiz that I took, when I was trying to narrow them down, this was the character that I came up as. And I didn't know if I should be offended by it or not. So you can tell me if I should have been. But it was the first one. It was the comprehensive 30-question quiz. So nevertheless, this one brings us to Alcoholics Anonymous. And we find Sylvester, who's not my favorite character, but Sylvester is trying so desperately and so hard with the help of maybe a French friend, a friend with an accent, somebody with a very calming voice. An orange cat is trying to take him through a 12-step process to deal with the addiction that he has to eating birds. And so Sylvester's like trying to give it up because he doesn't want to hit or eat my favorite character, second favorite character, Tweety Bird. Is that bad? That was my quiz? It's bad, isn't it?
It's not good.
Yeah, I don't think it is either.
You can tell amazed me. What was that?
You can tell me. Why is it? You can tell me why it's bad.
Oh, he's just
annoying.
Awful. I feel about Tweety Bird the way you feel about Daffy.
I just feel like
he's one of my very least favorite Looney Tunes.
I think it's because he doesn't talk much. He's kind of just like, and I think Sylvester's annoying with his like spitting and thuffering around. He's always thuffering everywhere he goes, and so it's like
Tweety is a little. I don't like Tweety for the same reason I don't like Jerry in the Tom and Jerry cartoons.
Yeah,
it's like I know that ostensibly you're just trying to preserve your own life at the hands of a predator, but I like cats, and I don't like mice or birds as much as I like cats. Tweety's just mean. He's a little nasty bully. And he's one of those bullies who like acts like he's the victim, so you can't call him out for being a bully.
This is what I think. This is my life strategy. I'm like, oh, I didn't do it. Like it's fine. So maybe I am Tweety. I'm like, oh, I'm always the victim. Like I'm never at fault. I'm never wrong. It's always everybody else, not me. So maybe it is more than I think. But
I assume the cartoon in question is Birds Anonymous.
It is Birds Anonymous from 1957. So this is essentially there's such a funny scene in there that you should see where it's like they go around and everybody's like, I'm 6 days off any bird. Like I'm 6 days. Like it's basically like, goofing on a meeting, an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting. And it's just, I don't know. I found it super funny. I was cracking up the entire time. And
I'm not sure if I've seen Birds Anonymous.
You'd like it. I think you'd like it.
I bet I wouldn't because it has Tweety Bird.
But you like Sylvester.
I don't dislike Sylvester. I do dislike Tweety Bird, which is why I don't think I've seen this one. I tend to avoid Tweety Bird cartoons. I'll be getting to it. 1957 puts us in probably like March of 2025.
And maybe I've overstated Tweety Bird. I think, again, he just annoyed me.
If you like Tweety Bird, you should like Tweety Bird. I don't like Tweety Bird. That doesn't mean that Tweety Bird is universally wrong.
You're kindly not judging me for not liking everybody on your list, but you're giving me a pass for Tweety, so I appreciate it.
That's the thing. It offends me more that you don't like Elmer than that you do like Tweety.
Again, maybe I like Elmer. I don't know. I just feel like the ones where they dumb people down and it's just like, I'm just a dumb oaf that like can't do anything right. I'm just like,
I know those are my favorite too.
I know. I get annoyed with them. I'm like, just kill the duck. Like, why can't you kill the duck? Like, just do it. Like, I don't know. Sometimes I think it grew tiresome sometimes, but
okay.
I'm going to rewatch too. Cause I say that and then I've got another one at my number one. But alas, we are at our number one. So why don't you share it with me in the hopes that we match up?
So my last film is my Tex Avery film, Fred Avery to his enemies. But Tex Avery, one of the major directors in animation history, he basically invents the idea of a cartoon that has one character the exact sort of specifically that you don't like, Carrie. You have a character who comes out and is like kind of well-meaning and inept and dumb, and you have another character who's like, you see this other character who's inept and well-meaning and dumb. I'm gonna like beat him up for the next 7 minutes, and it's gonna be funny. And you're like, okay, I'll watch it, and then it's funny. Tex Avery's best work comes when he leaves Warner Brothers for MGM. So this is by no means my favorite Tex Avery cartoon, period. It is, however, my favorite Tex Avery cartoon at Warner's. And I will say, you made the joke about like, oh, you don't like the cartoons that have suicide in them. Tex Avery has a cartoon. It's called Red Hot Riding Hood. This is when he made it MGM, and it's a parody of Little Red Riding Hood, but it's sexy. Uh-huh. And the wolf at a certain point gets so horny for Red Riding Hood that he shoots himself in the face and dies because he can't deal with how horny he is.
Wow.
And it's funny as hell.
I mean, that wouldn't pass today.
Because then his ghost comes to life and keeps like whistling and pounding the table for Red to notice him.
I think I remember
that's how horny
Red.
he is. He's horny in death.
I don't remember him dying. I remember the sexy fox though. So I think it's maybe she.
No, the wolf's not sexy. Red Riding Hood is sexy.
Or wait,
and she's not a fox. She's a person.
Oh, she is. I see. I feel like I remember a fox that was dressed as Red Riding Hood in. Maybe it's a different cartoon.
That could be. I mean, in this cartoon, it's a wolf, and a human in Red Riding Hood. And the wolf is very sexually aroused by Red Riding Hood, and he shoots himself in the face because of it. It's wonderful.
And this is your
But this
favorite.
is not the cartoon I'm talking about. I'm not talking about Red Hot Riding Hood. I am instead talking about another Porky Pig cartoon, 1936's The Village Smithy. This was another discovery for me. Again, Avery's best Warner's cartoon, not the same as his best cartoon overall, not the same as the best Porky cartoon, not the same as anything, but it's pretty great. It's the cartoon where Avery, he doesn't invent fourth wall breaking, but it's sort of the one where he's like, well, this is going to be something I do now, because that's the other thing he's really well known for. He loves breaking the fourth wall, and have characters like interact directly with the narrator of the film, and have the film sort of like break while we're watching it, and then it has to fix itself, and all of that's going on. It's basically just trying to be a recitation of this sort of, at the time in 1936, people would have recognized it as this poem that you learned in school, The Village Smithy. I don't really think we still have that relationship to it, except insofar as it gets referenced in a ton of cartoons. It's the poem that starts, under the spreading chestnut tree, the village smithy stands. And so you have this character, this narrator, trying to recite the poem, but he has to like first off fix it because there's no cartoon there. So like he starts reciting and there's neither a spreading chestnut tree nor a village smithy. So he has to pull both of those in. And then the village smithy himself is like somewhat annoyed by the narrator. And then Porky Pig is the smithy's assistant, and he keeps screwing things up. So it's just this really, really fast-paced slapstick cartoon where the characters are sort of offended by the knowledge that they are characters in a slapstick cartoon because it makes their lives harder, essentially.
Okay.
And I thought it was so deliriously funny. The day I watched it, which was earlier this summer, I don't remember the exact date, I think it was in May, I watched it like 6 times just to try and like absorb everything it was doing, because there's so many gags and it's going so fast.
Yeah. And you'd seen it before. You just like rewatched.
Nope, this was the first time. This was the first time I saw it.
Okay, you probably just said that. I'm intrigued. I'm like adding this to my list too. Now I'm like, I
would for sure, like the case of the Stuttering Pig, I don't know if you'll like. I think you'd really like this one. I want you to watch it.
Okay. And I'm going to try to give Porky another chance now that you said I've reminded him. I think here's my thing with Stuttering. I get like, it kind of like spikes my anxiety. Like, because it's just like, oh, like I want you to be able to just say it. Like I'm stressed for him when he can't get out what he wants to say.
I am not certain that Porky speaks in the Village Smithy.
Okay. Alrighty. That is one that I'm going to try then. And either way, I'll try it. I can get over it. But I'm going to give that a try. It sounds really good.
I love it.
So that's your number one. Is that right?
Well, it's my number one because I'm going chronologically. Again, Duck Amuck is my actual number one.
Okay. Alrighty. Well, I am jumping to the newest for my number one, the newest of all of mine. This is from 1980. And going back to...
I'm so troubled by what you just said.
I know. Well,
I do not acknowledge the existence of Looney Tunes after 1969.
I think this one is old too. This is just the particular episode. It was really hard for me to narrow this down.
Well, it's 43 years old, so it's quite old, but that's not the point.
Right. But I mean, I'm saying existed before 1980. This is just one episode. But I chose this one because this was the one that was the hardest for me to actually distinguish a singular episode, because every single episode, literally in this case, is the same. Like literally, like every beat, every scenario is almost exactly the same.
I know what you have. Okay.
Do you? Well, let me tell you one more clue, and then we'll see if we get there. But I think, too, when you were saying, like, it just kicks your dopamine and you feel so good, there is something about that, knowing what to expect and that repeatability, that I find very calming. So it's like, well, I know what's going to happen, and I'm going to like it, and I'm going to enjoy it, and I like this character. They don't say anything. I just like what they do. It's funny. I laugh at it. It's just really easy watching for me. So who do you think it is?
I don't actually know whether it's the Roadrunner or the Coyote, or if you're just considering them one character.
It's one of those. Well, who would you think I would choose?
I think you would choose the Roadrunner because I would choose the Coyote.
That's right. I did choose the Roadrunner. I love that little guy. I just like, yeah. I just love that he like constantly evades this thing.
I love that the Coyote fails, and it's always his own fault that he fails.
Yes. Yeah.
Like the Coyote. The Coyote is the blind American post-war faith in science will save us, and he always is like, my gadgets will catch me up, Roadrunner, and he always fucks it up because he's wrong. He's wrong because gadgets will not save us.
And the Roadrunner's just chilling. It's just moving quickly. It's
that's the thing. The Roadrunner's like, I don't have to worry about this. Like, there's no threat to me here.
Yes.
And the Coyote's just like, you could do literally just, you don't have to eat this Roadrunner. What's wrong with you?
I know. There's other Roadrunners.
You're so dumb.
He's so dumb. I know. There's just something about him though that's more charming than some of the other secondary characters, or like the other character that plays like counter to somebody that I like, that I'm not turned off by him for whatever reason, because again, it's to like my own satisfaction that like the anvil drops on his head, or again, every single episode falling from a cliff into a poof.
Absolutely.
I'm like waiting for that poof, and every single episode. So it was hard for me to choose which one, because again, they all blend together.
I could not at gunpoint, I could not rank the Coyote and Roadrunner cartoons.
You couldn't,
I would not know how to do it.
But there's one in particular, and that's the reason. This isn't necessarily my favorite, but the reason that I pulled it out is there's one distinction in this one episode from 1980 that I think does stand out, and I did remember it, because it's the episode where the Coyote catches the Roadrunner. And this is Soup or Sonic. And essentially, he catches the Roadrunner, finally, holds up a sign that's like, you wanted this. You wanted me to catch the Roadrunner. But when he actually gets there, the Roadrunner turns out to be like 300 times his size. So
because he's hit himself with a shrink ray at this point, right?
Yes, he's hit himself with a shrink ray. He's standing at the foot of the Roadrunner with his knife and fork and napkin like wrapped around his neck. And then he holds up his sign that's like, this is what you wanted. And then you look up and you realize that he's like at the tiniest fraction of the size of this Roadrunner. And so it's like, wah, wah, wah. Like, again, even though he technically caught the Roadrunner with a twist.
Yes. And I will say, for the record, Supersonic, though I believe it was later like shown as a short film, was initially created for Bugs Bunny's Bustin' Out All Over, which was a special with 3 brand new cartoons in it.
Okay. All right.
So I thought you were going for, and it's actually from 79, not from 80, so I was wrong. I thought you were going for the Bugs Bunny Roadrunner movie, because it has like 3 Roadrunner cartoons, just so you wouldn't have to pick one.
Oh, that would have been an option. That would have been an option too. But no, alas, I went with this one. I think it's hilarious, funny. I laughed when he held up the signs, like talking, again, breaking the fourth wall, talking to me, being like, this is what you wanted after all these years. So I loved it. And then I have to do this. I never, ever do this, but I have one honorable mention. And
Please.
I never do it. I had nowhere to put it because there was not actually a character in it of any sort of note that you'll remember. So I didn't want you to get mad at me. But the character in it, this probably would almost be my favorite if the character was even had a name. And I don't even know the name of it. You're going to know the name of it. There is an episode where the most adorable little tiny frog is like found.
His name is Michigan J Frog, Carrie.
He has a name?
Michigan J Frog.
His name is Michigan J Frog. What a weird name. The one with like the guy who finds him and then he sings opera.
He sings all sorts of things. He sings opera. He sings
dances.
ragtime. He sings pop hits.
He's like, hello,
He's
my
a
baby.
singing
Hello.
frog.
Yeah, he sings. And then the guy's like, oh my gosh, like seeing dollar signs. Like, we got to go run. I'm going to make all this money. And then as soon as anybody else is around, he turns into this frumpy little, like,
He's just a frog.
He's just a frog.
He's just a frog incongruously wearing a top hat.
It's amazing. And like the guy goes mad, essentially, because he just tries and tries and tries all these different things to have him be seen. And he's never. And I adore that little one. And I didn't know where to put it. So what's that one called?
The cartoon is named One Froggy Evening.
One Froggy Evening.
And if you had voted for me to do my just Chuck Jones cartoons and not try to do one from each director, which would have actually represented my 5 favorite Looney Tunes cartoons.
Yeah.
One Froggy Evening would have been on that list.
Oh,
it is in my top 5 of those 1,000 Looney Tunes. One Froggy Evening is in my top 5.
It's so good.
It's so perfect and it's so funny.
I love that frog. I love the frog when he's not singing. Like, I love him when he's singing, but that moment when he flops back into himself, it's just this like,
because he knows exactly the nanosecond to flop back down so as to not reveal himself to any person other than the poor schmuck who wants to monetize him.
You're so true.
Such a good cartoon.
Such a good.
Carrie, have you seen the cartoon with the dog, the big like bulldog who meets a little black and white kitten? And he starts barking at the kitten and the kitten just kind of stares at him. And the dog is like, oh, what a cute kitten. So he picks up the kitten and puts it on his back and like walks around with it. And then he takes it home. Yeah. But his human owner doesn't want him to have a cat, so he has to hide the cat.
I don't think
and shenanigans ensue.
No, what's this one called?
It's called Feed the Kitty.
Feed the Kitty. Okay.
And you will love it.
It's like if you don't
it will be your favorite Looney Tune if you watch this cartoon.
Okay, Feed the Kitty.
Feed the Kitty, 1952, I think.
All right. This is helpful, and it is a segue into our audience top 5, but did you have anything else before I go there?
I could talk about Looney Tunes for the next 3 years, and I will be doing so.
I know. Well, I have loved this, and I'm glad that we share the love. I don't actually know where Rob stands. He said that he liked Daffy Duck, and I was like, this conversation's over. So,
well, Rob's correct. I will also say, if I had done my top 5 Jones films, 2 of them have Daffy, I think.
Okay. All right. Well, I am going to take it to the audience top 5 because it's very relevant, especially for this conversation, because the audience had at number 5, Feed the Kitty.
There you go.
There it is. I didn't know what it was. Now
Mark
I do.
Anthony and Pussy Willow are the name of the dog and the cat.
Wow. All right. That feels right. At number 4, they had Rabbit of Seville from 1950.
I like that one a lot. It's never been one of my favorites, but it's quite good. That's the one where Elmer chases Bugs onto the stage of an opera.
Oh, sure.
Performing The Barber of Seville, and then Bugs just torments Elmer at the opera.
Yes,
that's one will.
I remember that one. Speaking of the opera, the number 3, we had What Opera Doc?
What's Opera Doc?
Yes. What did I say?
What Opera Doc?
Oh, What's Opera? Yeah, that's right. What's Opera Doc?
That was my number 2 on the Chuck Jones only version of my list.
Okay. All right. You didn't, because we just talked about it at number 2, One Froggy Evening. Everyone loves it.
I believe I had One Froggy Evening at number 4 on the Chuck Jones version of the list.
I should have had it on there. I just didn't know he had a name. Old Michigan. And then
technically he wasn't a recurring character until the 90s.
And that's what I felt bad about. But
yeah,
I could have had it there. At number 1, no surprise here, unanimously, Duck Amuck.
Yeah, I mean, Duck Amuck and What's Opera Doc are the 2 canonical picks, and I knew that our audience was going to be a Duck Amuck audience.
Yes, indeed. And our winner this week was David Zaslav. At number 1, the Foghorn.
The CEO of Warner Brothers.
I would doubt it.
I don't think he probably has good taste in Warner Brothers cartoons, is the thing, because he's trying to destroy the company.
Oh. This could be a joke.
This could be someone who has adopted an ironic username.
If you submitted your responses under the name David Zaslav, or if you are David Zaslav, I don't actually know why we don't like you necessarily, but if you're either of those people, this is your list. At number 1, the Foghorn Leghorn. Just
all
like
right.
me. Gosh, this David guy kind of knows what's going on. Number 2, Tweetie Pie. Also a Tweetie fan.
He likes both Foghorn and Tweetie.
I think this is a prank.
Maybe it is the actual David Zaslav.
Maybe it is. I feel really bad if it is. Now that I've said something bad, I'll maybe edit that out. Number 3.
It is not the CEO of Warner Brothers. He does not listen to our show.
Are you sure it's the CEO?
He does. He should become a Patreon for $500 a month.
Yes, David, this is for you. You should become a Patreon. You heard it there earlier. You would have gotten a podcast shout out beyond this. At number 3, just like you, David loves Daffy. Daffy Duck's Quackbusters at number 3.
Okay.
At number 4, for sentimental reasons, just like me. Just David and I are I'm going to reach out. I'm going to DM this guy. And then at number 5, Bedevilled Rabbit, and then honorable mention to Duck Amuck. David, shoot us an email at contact@alternateending.com to claim your free Amazon movie rental. I know you need it. You're not making much out there these days. So in closing,
it does. Before we close, I just need to quickly say you did not have a Tasmanian Devil cartoon.
I decided I don't like him anymore.
Okay.
Even though I watched him all the time and almost got a tattoo. I was like, he's kind of annoying. Just, again, I don't like people who spit talk. I'm just like,
So he does certainly do that.
Yeah. I decided I was misled when I was younger. So
that's fair.
So in closing, we want to thank you guys all for putting up with us and joining us. We always love your listenership. You can head out to social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or it's not Twitter, X. Actually, don't go there. Go to Facebook, Instagram, alternateending.com. And don't forget about Patreon. We'll catch you next time.
That's all, folks.